You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you for joining me on this Total Wellness Tuesday edition of the Cabral Concept, where we're going to go over, should you snack before bed? That is the question of the day. So this is a pretty popular question, whether people are looking to lose weight, gain weight, or get healthy, improve digestion, or kind of anything in between in terms of like overall anti-aging based protocols. So this question actually has a very straightforward answer, but there's a little bit of gray area in between how to get to that final destination, which is what I want to go over today. Plus, the information online is, really unbelievable when you look at it. I don't like to actually look online for what a lot of people are saying very often before I get into my questions, because I don't like to be, even swayed in any direction from the information that I want to bring you. But today I had to say, what are people reading online if they type in exactly what I said to you today, meaning like, should you snack before bed? And I'll tell you right now, the information that is out there is sometimes just downright deplorable. And that's why I feel so bad for people a lot of the time when they come in saying that I've tried everything. I've tried this, and this, and this, and they're still not getting results. And that's because most of the information online is just unbelievably bad. Like, it's just based on myths. It's not based on sound advice. It's people without an actual nutrition background, and even sometimes with the nutrition background, are just giving really bad advice. And I look at it and I say, how are we giving this advice? Are we not really looking at root cause based things? And where did you even think in the first place that it might be a good idea to recommend these things to certain people? So I have to go over that first. I really do. I'm going to go over kind of some myth busting, and I'll give you exactly why. So I honestly want to do that is I will never say, oh, it's my opinion that you shouldn't do this. If I give you an opinion, I will say that, but I'll also say, okay, here's why you wouldn't want to be doing this. Here's why you wouldn't want to be following this advice. And I don't like to call people out, so I'm not going to name names. But what I am going to do is kind of just show you just kind of to be careful of the information you go to, and that you just can't believe everything that you do read online. And for the most part, you can't believe a lot of it. And that's because the top 5 pages that show up like on a search, if you go to Google or Yahoo, any of these search engines, and you type in, should I snack before bed? And those top 5 sites are usually just big promotional based sites, meaning they have a lot of people they're paying to write in. They have a lot of advertising. They have a lot of those things that get them to the top. And so like one big website is WebMD, and I know a lot of people go to WebMD for advice. I am not saying that everything they're doing is incorrect. I'm not saying that at all. They're doing a lot of good information. There's a lot of good out there. But this article on, and again, I don't want to really come down on anyone, so I'm just going to say this article on should you snack before bed is pretty bad. It really is. There's some truth to a lot of it, meaning like I understand that sleep right now is a huge issue for people, with about 70% of people, at least in the United States, with sleep-based issues, and they're trying to help people sleep. But here's some of the advice they gave on whether you should snack before bed. And I want to tell you, this article, this recommendation literally comes from a medical doctor who's a neurology professor at a New York university. I'm not going to name his name, nor am I going to name the university. Now, before I get to this advice, keep in mind that medical doctors receive 0 to almost no nutrition training. So how are medical doctors then giving advice on nutrition? They should not be. They should stick to their forte, which is essentially when to use pharmaceuticals for what conditions. And again, we can have that debate whether you should be using them or not, at another time. But right now, we're just going to talk about nutrition. If you are not trained in nutrition, should you be giving advice on nutrition? Probably not. Just like I should not be giving advice on pharmaceuticals of, when to take your chemotherapy-based medication or for how long. No, I'm not going to give advice on that, nor would I ever want to, okay? So a lot of the times it's understanding when you should stay in your lane, meaning that if this is not your forte, sub it out to someone else. And that's okay. So I've studied acupuncture in depth. I've studied marma point therapy in depth. I've been to China. I've worked in traditional Chinese medicine hospitals. I've been to Sri Lanka. I've been to India. I've worked on people in these fashions. It's still not my expertise. So I'm still going to say, I believe you would get great benefit from this. What I would like to do is set you up with this acupuncturist or Ayurvedic marma point therapy practitioner, okay? It's the same thing online, and that's what I want to go to right now. So this medical doctor, professor of neurology, being interviewed for WebMD, said this. We'll put it this way. Okay. Good choices to snack before bed. This would be it. Some good choices to snack before bed. This is where I really lost it. Good choices include, and I'm quoting, a small bowl of cereal and milk. Okay? So right now, he is promoting processed wheat and milk that comes from hormone-pumped, high IGF-1 level, high bacterial level milk. I mean, they're really deplorable, okay? So let me go on. A few cookies. So the doctor's recommending a few cookies before bed, some toast, or a small muffin. Okay, so this doctor just recommended cereal, cookies, toast, or a muffin. And he's talking about hormonal blood sugar. Literally almost lost my mind because this is one of the top sites if you type in, should you snack before bed? And it's coming from a medical doctor. So you have to say, well, this information then has to be correct. Meaning literally, I know that a lot of people kind of age 30 and below really aren't trusting, the medical system anymore. And rightly so in a lot of fashion. But a lot of people that I know, they say, well, my doctor doesn't believe in nutritional supplements. My doctor doesn't believe in saliva testing. My doctor, and I'm like, okay, well, has your doctor ever studied any of those things? Have they ever looked into the research on any of those things? And now we have a doctor on one of the most highly regarded websites out there recommending that you basically eat dessert before bed in cookies, toast, or a small muffin. So one of the highest, most inflammatory foods would be wheat. Okay, so we're promoting gluten before bed. We're talking to people with blood sugar dysregulation, and now you're recommending processed carbohydrates, which is going to spike their blood sugar. It's going to potentially wake them up a couple hours later, or it can lead to weight gain during the night because you're spiking blood sugar with an increased then release in insulin. Yes, it might help them get to sleep from a release of tryptophan or serotonin, but it's not going to help for anything else. So that's the whole point is just because it helps get you to sleep doesn't mean that it's a good thing. So please, be really careful where you're reading information. Another one I wanted just to point out to you is this. This one, actually, at least it's a little better, understanding. It comes from a dietitian. I'm not going to name the dietitian, but you could probably search them out by looking for 5 reasons why you should eat before bed. And it should in capital letters. Again, not going to name names, but here's what they said. 5 reasons. Okay. Eat a snack before bed can promote weight loss. Here's the issue. You can find literally a study for everything. Eating before bed can promote weight loss. Yes, it can. It depends on the person. It depends on also what you're eating before bed. And it compares to what you were doing before. Meaning that if you're eating really poorly before and you decided to have a couple nuts before bed, which we'll get into, sure, it could stabilize blood sugar levels. But I'm going to show you later why that might not be the best choice. Okay. Having a satisfied belly will help you fall and stay asleep. Okay. Potentially true, but not talking about all of the other digestive issues that could come along with it in terms of when your body should not be breaking down food while you're sleeping. And we'll talk about the Ayurvedic clock right after this. Okay, while you're sleeping, your body is still hard at work and needs energy. Okay, totally true. It's hard at work. And when we get into the Ayurvedic clock, you'll see that it's working actually on digestion, moving things out of the actual body and detoxification. And does it need energy? Of course it does. But your actually resting metabolic rate goes way down, and its ability to tap into body fat is at its highest level, but not if you put food into your stomach. Okay, so number 4, an empty stomach before bed equals stable blood sugars, which equals better sleeping, which equals a happier life. That says a full stomach before bed. That is actually not true at all. So even if you were to not eat any carbs before bed, which by the way, this person in this article is actually recommending fat and protein mixed together. For anyone that's studied nutritional biochemistry, understands that if you mix fat and protein together at one specific meal, what you're getting is potentially a spike in blood sugar. And then you're allowing then insulin to directly transport with sugar as it opens the cell, fat right into the cell as well. So not a good idea, not ideal, and certainly not something I can recommend. And by the way, stabilizing blood sugar is what I'm going to be talking about at the end, which is what people are saying that, oh, well, you snack before bed, do these things. Sure, but this should be a short-term goal leading to a much longer-term goal of stabilized blood sugar where you don't need to eat before bed. Okay, bedtime snacks set you up for success. Why deprive yourself of a yummy snack if it will help with all these different things? Well, here's the thing. Success should not be predicated upon having a snack before bed. And success should be based on what your long-term goals are and then breaking those down into much shorter-term goals, which I spoke about yesterday on the Cabral concept. So a lot of these things, again, are really misnomers. And quoting research, again, you can find research for everything like casein before bed, which is a really slow digesting protein, but it's also a horrible protein for the human body and the number one food sensitivity in the world. And again, if you want to ever test yourself for food sensitivities, just literally run an at-home food sensitivity test for that IgG food sensitivity. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to get into a little bit about, so we have a lot of this wrong thinking, meaning like we're either looking at the short term or we're just simply getting really bad advice. And I quoted that today. So I'm not just randomly picking articles out. These were the top articles when I searched on Google. So I know that that's what is popping up for people. Okay, so here's the thing though. We've known now for thousands of years, pick any form of medicine you want, literally any form of medicine you want, and you will see across the board, it's always the same. You should not snack before bed. And why is that? Well, here's the thing. Let's just take Ayurvedic medicine, for instance. You want to go to bed with an empty stomach, okay? So you want to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Why do you want to do that? Well, here's why. Your body between 10 and 2 at night, so ideally 10 o'clock, 10 p.m., you're getting into bed, okay? Or you've gotten to bed before that, and 2 o'clock in the morning. That is the pitta time of movement within the body. And what does that mean? Well, it means this is the time when your body is most active in terms of digestion, I should say, and detoxification. So digestion, what I mean by that is more in the intestines rather than in the stomach. All right, so the pitta would be the small intestine, okay? Colon would be the vata, and stomach is the kapha. Well, what we're really talking about is the breaking down of food in terms of nutrition for the body, but we're also talking about pitta as the liver. And the liver is how we cleanse all of the blood in your body. So I've said this before, but really, when you're doing the Dr. Bell detox, it's not a cleanse. That's not what it's about. It's not removing things from your intestines. What it is super supporting your liver in terms of phase 1 and phase detox. And what does that mean? Well, it simply means this, that if we know all the blood moves through your liver every 6 minutes in your body, and it does that 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for your entire life. And if it has the right nutrients, which is just phase 1, breaking down these fat soluble or very toxic chemicals, into phase 2, which is a water-based toxin that can easily be removed from sweat, from urine, from stool, and even huffing it off maybe when you exercise. Okay. If we give the body that support, well, then it helps to clean your blood. And when you clean your blood, well, then it's much easier for your body to do everything that it needs, which means fight cancer, balance the immune system, remove leaky gut-based particles, all of that. So that's how it helps, okay? So here's the deal. That is best done from 10 and 2 in the morning when you're not moving, when your stomach is not digesting food, so all the blood is not brought to your stomach, and it allows your body to really be at rest. That's the whole point. Your body's not at rest if it's digesting a big meal or digesting a snack before bed. The other thing is this. If you eat dinner at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and you're having a snack another hour and a half later, you're really doing what I talk about, which is what you should not do, is putting undigested food that you're just consuming right now on top of partially digested food or digested food in your stomach. That's going to slow up the digestive process. It's going to cause fermentation in the gut, which is going to cause extra bacterial overgrowth, which is going to cause bloating, gas, and potentially other issues in the small intestine. So we don't want to do that. That is not ideal. That's not something that we want for your body. So here's the thing. If we know that really between 10 and 2 in the morning is our time for transformation, is our time to actually use nutrients to help repair and rebuild the body. It's that time to detox and cleanse our body. And it's our time to also tap into body fat, fuel the body for body fat. Then we can understand that it would not be a good idea if we're looking for overall health, for anti-aging, and I'm going to explain that in one moment, and then for losing weight as well. So for the anti-aging part of it is I'm always telling people all the time, I believe in intermittent fasting. Appropriate intermittent fasting. For most people, that's from either 8 at night to 8 in the morning, 7 at night to 7 in the morning, 6 to 6, something like that. It's after you finish dinner, you're going to stop eating until 12 hours later. That is going to allow your body time to work on cleaning house. It's like the cleaning staff comes in and they go in and they mop up all the toxins and they break down any pathogens in the body. They remove proteins that shouldn't be there. They help to kill cancer cells. It's the most important time of the day. It's called autophagy. I talk about it all the time. It's a big part of my upcoming book. It's in all of those things. It's really, really important. So we need that. That's very, very important. So we have to look at not just one thing. So like you could say, well, eating before bed increases tryptophan production. I agree. Totally agree. But why aren't you producing that on your own? That would be my question, okay? But also, let's not just try to work on one thing. Let's try to work on the entire individual, which is really what we should be looking at long term, right? So here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. There are some people, remember, there's an exception to every rule. And so I always call it like the 1% rule. Okay, there's an exception to every rule, and it's about for 1% of people. Who are the people that should snack before bed? Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The people that should snack before bed are those people who are more catabolic, which means their body's breaking down too quickly. They're not at a healthy weight. They lose weight too fast. They tap into muscle tissue, so they lose a lot of muscle, okay? Really, really important to look at. And a lot of times that ectomorph of Vata body type. And also, they suffer from blood sugar dysregulation, which is oftentimes linked to adrenal-based issues. So we're looking at all the same thing, okay? Literally all the same thing. So in Ayurvedic medicine, again, what I do in my practice is I blend functional medicine, state-of-the-art functional medicine, which is essentially orthomolecular medicine and state-of-the-art lab testing and all that great stuff, all right? And then I blend it with, what do we know from every Eastern-based philosophy, every medical practice that has been around and has stood the test of time for thousands of years of recorded history? Okay, here's what they say. Ectomorph, Vata body type, more prone to HPA axis dysfunction, which is, again, adrenal-based dysfunction. And when you have adrenal-based dysfunction, high levels of cortisol or dropping out of cortisol, you also can't regulate blood sugar, okay? So I had the same exact thing when I was younger. It really took forever for them to figure this out. And the reason is I did not get in touch with a good functional medicine doctor back then, but this is also 20 years ago. So that's a big reason why. Now we obviously have much more access to that. And we have just better critical thinking, in my opinion. So here's what to do, though. So agree, if you need to snack before bed because you wake up during the middle of the night, like low blood sugar, little bit of sweating, not hormone-based sweating, but low blood sugar-based sweating. I know blood sugar, we can consider that a hormone along with cortisol. Is that we're looking at that just saying, wow, this person does need to stabilize blood sugar at night. So what should they have? Well, in this case, the best snack to have is really a good quality, healthy fat as the predominant snack. And here's why. If you put a lot of protein in your belly before bed, that can lead to digestive-based issues because protein is quite hard to break down. So that can lead to poor sleep. Now, what protein could you put in your belly before bed? You could literally just shake up a protein shake. So last week I said the protein shake diet. Now, again, I'm not promoting like every protein shake in the world, but you can use your favorite protein shake as long as it doesn't cause digestive discomfort. But along with that protein shake, if you wanted to, you can also do a handful of nuts, okay? Now, the protein shake is different than a smoothie because you're not going to blend it with fruit before bed because we don't want the fruit, okay? You might blend it with a little bit of nut milk if you want, or a little bit of coconut milk, or a little bit of nuts right in it if you want. And then you have some protein and some carbs. Some protein and some fat. But really what you just could do is a handful of nuts. Or you could do some nut butter if you want. I'm not even a huge proponent of nut butters because they're more oxidized. But again, I'm just trying to help people in the short term. So this could be a short-term recommendation rather than a lifelong recommendation. But avocado would work. Nuts would work. A little bit of coconut oil would work if that works for you. It doesn't work for everyone because it is a saturated fat, and saturated fats don't work for the entire population. I've talked about this before, but especially for people who are more prone to, or who just have a blood type called the 4 allele, the ApoE blood type 4. If you have a 3-4 marker or a 4-4 especially. We'll get into that more when we talk about genetics in the future. But suffice to say, any one of those things would work. It's hard for me to recommend this right now, but you could do like a coconut-based yogurt, or if you really don't have any issues with dairy, you could do more like a goat's milk or sheep's milk-based yogurt. I really don't recommend that before bed. But if you want to do it in the short term, fine. And if you've already food tested and know that you don't have a sensitivity to sheep or goat-based milk as a yogurt, that would be a different story. You want to make sure that it is lower carb, that it doesn't have any fruit mixed with it. You can add a little cinnamon to that. That will help with blood sugar stabilization. Big fan of that. And of course, we're not talking about cow's milk here. We're certainly not talking about that. A lot of people like to do even a homemade curd or something like that. That could work. But again, I'm looking at just putting in, if you eat the nuts, just chew them up really well. And that would work completely fine. Some people will mix a little bit of ghee on top of like half a sweet potato. I know the sweet potato has some carbs. They'll add some cinnamon to that. That could be a delicious little snack right there. But again, it depends on blood sugar. It depends on the person. That's why it's hard for me to make individual recommendations. A lot of people that I work with who are looking to put on muscle or not looking to become too catabolic, I will simply do a shake before bed with a handful of raw almonds or raw walnut, like the choice of their nuts, whatever they like, that would be fine. Macadamia, that is totally fine. And chewed up to a paste, like literally not swallowing, but chewing them up to a paste in their mouth. And then they can have that with their protein shake. And again, for recommendations on protein shakes, you can simply go to the protein shake diet show that I talked about when it's been in the news lately. Of course, you know that I recommend all sorts of different shakes, but you could use a hemp protein-based shake before bed. If you're not sensitive to other types, you could use other types as well. Hopefully that helps. So that's my 1% rule. Blood sugar issues, adrenal issues, and catabolic-based issues before bed. But remember, we're looking to only do this in the short term so that you can eventually get your 12 hours fasted, which is your 7 to 7, 8 to 8, whatever it might be. And if you have blood sugar issues, you have adrenal-based issues, hormone-based issues, you don't keep doing this for the rest of your life. You actually run a lab test. You can run the adrenal hormone or the thyroid adrenal hormone lab test. And you can say, okay, here's my dysfunction. It's going to show your cortisol levels before bed as well. And then you're going to get a plan, or you can do this locally with a functional medicine doctor in your area. I will link it up on the show notes where we'll send you the lab and you can get my recommendations and work with my health coach. That would be totally fine to do. Or you can say, okay, I know what to do to heal my adrenals. So for the next 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be doing this snack before bed, all while working to better stabilize my blood sugar levels during the day, rebuild my HPA axis, which works with your adrenals. And then you're happy, you're healthy, you fall asleep well, you're using something like our deep sleep protocol, and you get your rest and life is good, right? And then you don't need that snack before bed because remember, ideally, you should not be eating before bed. That is the truth. So should you snack before bed? No, for 99% of the population, unless you've been actually told that you have a specific issue. And the reason is that you want your body to work on cleaning house. You want all of the food to have moved through your stomach. You want your body then to tap into body fat, which it should do naturally. It should work on this thing called autophagy or autophagy, where it's killing cancer cells, where it is literally going in and cleaning up all of the pathogenic based waste in the intestines as well as in your blood. And that is how we get to all of our goals, which are weight loss, wellness, and anti-aging. Hopefully today's show helped. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Once again, appreciate all of your support. And if this show could help anyone, please do feel free to share it with them. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.